I mean, one thing you did do as well, I think is has been brilliant. Is I've seen this kind of like this kind of this side of you as well, making this incredibly well produced content. I mean, I think everyone and their mother's mother and grandmother has seen the Andor video that you kind of made around kind of like you know, Star Wars and things, and kind of your channel. And I loved watching kind of you would regularly post about your kind of YouTube channel, which is kind of separated away from gaming. I guess it's getting more pop culture, kind of like you know, kind of movie kind of TV based. Um, and what I loved seeing is that kind of like the growth you're experiencing very quickly because of making great content. I think that's really important. It's not necessarily about you know a lot of things trend what's trending. Oh, let's make things about that. You're making things which were really well written, well produced, and well articulated, which I guess comes back to kind of work as a caster as well. Like you managed to kind of convey your kind of you know review things such as Andor. I mean, with your YouTube channel, let's talk about that kind of you know with that kind of particular video and other things that you've done. Um, Making that, did you know you were onto something special there? How did you kind of go about doing that? How did you determine that's something I want to talk about and make a video about? I think it's important.
With the Andor one specifically, yeah, I mean, that video is a little weird. It is. I'm glad that video has done what it's done, and I'm glad that it's kind of it is the video I am most proud of. Content very much feels like at times it is my creative outlet. It is where like if I'm thinking about things all day every day, I can be very very wordy in content. So it is something that I actively work on with my videos is like simplifying the things that I'm saying because I love to just talk in videos. But yeah, that video, it kind of came together as a perfect storm. And you know, I was threatened by it when it came out because I was like, I don't feel like I can make something like this again because I was very cognizant of what I did. When the show ended, I obviously wanted to do a video on it, and it was actually pretty easy to write, surprisingly, because I think the more moved you are by something, the easier it is to convey exactly what you're feeling. And obviously, there are depths to there are depths to the human experience that can only be reached with like music or visuals, and you have to know kind of how to combine them. But when it comes to like the wordplay stuff, yeah, the review came together pretty easily, which I'm grateful for. Yeah, it was fun to put together. The music was I don't make any money off that video. I don't make money off of a lot of my videos because the music is pretty copyrighted. So
Bloody music. God
yeah,
damn
that bloody music. Yeah.
it.
But yeah, I mean, it was fun to put together. I was really sick at the time when I finished writing it, and I was trying to get it out before Esports Awards. But I couldn't. So I came back. I came back. I did a show with CDL. I was dying. I was so sick, but got it recorded, had a song originally that was supposed to go with it, and then found I had that song stuck in my head, Remembrance, which I think is one of the best guitar songs of all time. It is brutal. But I had it stuck in my head, found it, plugged it back in. It lined up with every cut I did in the video. I was like, well, that's the universe telling me I need to use this song. So put it out. And yeah, I mean, the response was really great. It was really overwhelming at first. It still is. It doesn't feel still like it's I see it on my channel and I'm like, wow, I did that, but it doesn't hit me with like that's mine. That's like a thing I did. I'm very focused on the next thing and stuff like that. But the content's been fun. It is just it's an outlet that I wanted to keep separate from esports. I'm very big on I don't know why, but I'm big on keeping parts of myself separate from other parts of myself. So like, you know, I live and breathe esports. I don't want it to be what my content is always about. I'll do esports content, but I want to do something that is personal and things that I care about, and just have those different avenues so that if esports dies tomorrow, if esports industry goes under, my channel's not going to suffer. So that was kind of a big thing, was just a creative outlet that I can think about extensively without it being exhausting. But I'm a big nerd, man. Like I grew up reading comics. I grew up in the era of Tobey Maguire Spider-Man. So like when the MCU was going from like 2008, I saw Iron Man in theaters. When the MCU was going, that the era of the MCU right around Civil War was when I was in college. So Civil War to Endgame, like that was all me and my friends would talk about is like theorizing what's going to happen with Infinity War, what's going to happen with Endgame. And at the time, I didn't really have the ability to make videos. So when I got out of college, I was like, I spent days theorizing with friends about what's going to happen with Tony, what's going to happen with Thanos, all this stuff. I'm like, I just need to put all that energy into like talking about this stuff professionally finally.
Mhm.
So, it was really easy for me to do because I was like, I already think about I read thousands of books. I watch, consume so much content. I'm like, I'm already doing all this stuff anyway. Might as well just try to do it myself. So, yeah, it's been fun to do. I like the devoted practice of it. I like kind of throwing yourself into something and then really like spending days listening to kind of music and editing practices and making things feel like really cinematic in some aspects. That's been the fun part. Obviously kind of growing with it has just been really just throwing yourself into a piece of content. And then when you're done, you feel exhausted. Like I like that feeling of like, wow, you know, I just unloaded into something and
Yeah.
then give it a couple days, come back and do something else. But that's the fun part for sure.
Well, you made to me as well. It's evergreen in the sense that it will exist, and you've made something. You can kind of years down the line go, I did this thing. This is how I felt about it at the time, and here we are. I
Yeah.
mean, speaking to a fellow nerd here, I mean, I've got Indiana Jones Temple Run Lego behind me, dude. Like I'm
Oh,
living the
dude, I was
dream.
looking at that the other day. I'm not gonna lie to you.
So
Ooh.
I am so into Lego has become my thing. I've kind of refound Lego again.
I've done
It's
that too. Yeah.
yeah, you have. Oh,
I know exactly, especially during COVID time where it was very much when you're dude, building like a Lego set when you're an adult and like especially if it's something you like if it's indie based, if it's Star Wars based. I have a DeLorean I haven't built. Like building
oh,
something and
mate,
just putting it together, turning your brain off and letting like the mechanical part of your brain go crazy is just it is so cathartic. It is so fun.
I love it. I love it. I love it. I think there's. I think I walk past things like go to like a Lego store and see like the Millennium Falcon, which is like £750, like
Mhm.
800. I don't know whatever dollars, and I
Mhm.
think one day you'll be mine. I one day I'll do this. I will do you one day, Millennium Falcon. One day,
It's gonna be a good day.
but not yet.
Trust
It's
me.
going to be a good. It's going to be a good
Yeah.
day. And I mean, lastly with your kind of your YouTube content too. Do you kind of see that as an avenue you're going to continue, kind of like, kind of because obviously we could talk about Star Wars all day here.
Sure.
I mean, I'm huge into it anyway, but with like Andor and that kind of world, the
Mhm.
pop culture world in general is so kind of interesting to me. I
Sure.
think it's this it's so multifaceted as well. You can kind of kind of spend all your time doing sci-fi related stuff. You mentioned like Back to the Future. I mean, back to one, two, or three, Sean.
Well, I'm gonna be honest with you. One
Yeah,
for me. One, I had not seen. So the fun part for me is that again, I was not that I was sheltered as a kid, but like we just didn't have access to a lot, and so all the old movies that I watched were like from the 40s and 50s and 60s, and I didn't see a lot of like the heavy big hitters. So I didn't see Back to the Future until like 2 years ago, and because everybody was
what?
all this, I'm like, yeah, I know Back to the Future, I know what the story's about. I'd never seen it. Esports Awards, I was waiting to do something, and they had it on the TV, and I watched the whole thing. And I was like, wow, that was great. That was really good. I mean, that's just great. So yeah, like I'm getting to now revisit a lot of old movies that I never like watched and I didn't get to watch as a kid. So for me, just because I've only seen the first one, number one, of course. Are you kidding me? It's great. It's such a good movie.
I see. And you guys listening, watching might disagree here, but I think one definitely. I would say
Mhm.
two, absolutely brilliant as well. Three,
I heard
I'm
two was
fine.
really good. I heard
Two is
people
really
really
good
enjoyed two. Yeah,
because it was smart. I liked how smart it was.
that's
But I
what they
think
said.
the third
Yeah.
one's just like okay, it's fine. But
Okay, wait.
um,
So Indie one, two, or three. What are your thoughts?
I mean, Raiders for me is the perfect
It's
film
so
movie.
tough to beat Raiders, man.
It's just so
It
good.
really is.
I
I've grown
think
to
that
appreciate Doom way more. Like I never disliked it, but I've grown to appreciate it way more as I've gotten older. I think Crusade is like second. I think that they really nailed his
Crusade
dynamic
just
with Sean.
hits me in the feels
Yeah.
because like I think that kind of like the father son relationship is kind of like it's so good. And I think
Yeah.
it's because it's Sean Connery and Harrison Ford. You're just like this is perfect. But
Yep.
I think the third one is. I mean, what's really amazing, and this is on a personal note. My son's just joined like the Boy Scouts in the UK, and he's seen that kind of like the beginning of the third movie. I won't show any of the kind of violent bits and pieces, but just kind of the little bits like the train with the circus train and things. And because Indy's like the young Indy is a Boy Scout too, like my son kind of identifies, goes kind of like Indiana Jones is just like me,
Hmm.
and it
You're raising him
melts
right.
me. Oh
Yeah.
my god,
Dude, you're
he's
raising
just
him
like
right.
me, Daddy. I'm like,
Andy,
you're damn right, he is.
yeah, it's Indy I think I mean it's one of those it's one of those trilogies that's going to be it's a classic already, but it's going to be timeless. Just like they just don't I say this all the time. They don't make them like that anymore, man.
They
Like,
don't,
the
man.
practicality Harrison Ford needs to be on the Mount Rushmore of male actors. Like, Harrison Ford just as an actor and
Oh
then
my god,
also having just the practicality of it all. Like, it just all of it holds up. It is so freaking cool all the time. Like, yeah, I wanna be a guy in a fedora with a whip just hunting
yeah.
down relics. Yes, of course.